Did you know that Enes Kanter Freedom used his NBA platform to speak out against authoritarian regimes, putting his career at a crossroads?
Hey, I'm Garrett, feeling energized and pretty excited to talk about this one.
And I'm Leah. I'm enthusiastic to dig in because this story has layers. Welcome to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
All right, let's set the stage for this one. Enes Kanter Freedom, a journey from NBA center to full-on human rights advocate. That arc is not your everyday sports headline. Quick story. I was at a Celtics game a couple of seasons back, and Enes came out in these custom sneakers with bold messages. I remember double-taking. The shoes said Free Tibet, and later the Winnie the Pooh imagery tied to Free China. It wasn't subtle, and you could feel the arena buzz. That was the night I realized this was bigger than basketball shoes. He was using the court as a billboard for human rights.
Let's open the book on this. Enes Kanter Freedom is a Turkish-American human rights activist and former NBA center. He played 11 seasons in the league, known for offensive rebounding and interior scoring. Over those years, he steadily became a prominent voice on human rights, speaking out about governments in places like Turkey and China. When he became a U.S. citizen in 2021, he legally added freedom to his name to symbolize what he stood for.
Yeah, and on the hoop side, his numbers tell a clear story. Across 748 regular season games, he averaged about 11 points and nearly 8 rebounds per game, with strong shooting efficiency. He was that second-chance machine. He even had a 30-rebound night in 2021 with Portland, which set a franchise record. That's one of those blink-and-check-the-box score-again moments.
And his advocacy was not limited to tweets. He wore custom shoes on court with messages like Free Tibet, Free Uyghur, and Free China. Quick note, the Uyghurs are a Turkic ethnic group in China's Xinjiang region. Rights groups allege mass detention, forced labor, and cultural repression there. Those sneakers were sometimes collaborations, including with Badiou Chao, a Chinese-Australian dissident artist known for satire that targets censorship. That's a gutsy pairing in front of global cameras.
Back to the beginning. He was born in 1992 in Zurich, Switzerland, to Kurdish parents, then grew up in Turkey in the city of Van. His dad is a physician and later a professor, his mom a nurse, so academics were big in the family. Enes came up through Fenerbahce's youth system, a powerhouse club in Turkey and Europe. As a teen, he put up monster numbers in international youth tournaments, then moved to the U.S. for high school. He initially committed to Washington, then to Kentucky with coach John Calipari, but the NCAA ruled him permanently ineligible over benefits he received from Fenerbahce. So he went straight into the 2011 NBA draft, and the Utah Jazz picked him 3rd overall.
Quick why? Why did the NCAA rule him ineligible for Kentucky again?
Good question. The NCAA said he received around $33,000 in excess benefits from Fenerbahce, beyond what's allowed under amateur rules. Playing in a pro club system as a teen can blur NCAA eligibility lines. Kentucky appealed, but the ruling was upheld, so no college games, though the NBA still valued his size and skill.
Middle chapter. In the NBA, he built that identity as a rebounding force. In Utah, he showed flashes like a 23 and 22 night. Then he was traded to Oklahoma City, where he paired famously with Steven Adams as the Stash Bras. Adams, by the way, is a New Zealander known for physical play and a great screen game. Enes kept stacking double-doubles. In New York, he had a 31 and 22 on Christmas Day, a rare 30-20 line on that stage. Later, he headed to Portland and Boston in separate stints, and in 2021 with the Blazers, he set that 30-rebound franchise record. That's historic, not just hot.
And alongside the hoops, the activism deepened. He attended schools affiliated with the Gulen movement, known as Hizmet, which emphasizes education and service. That affiliation put him at odds with the Turkish government after 2016, when he criticized President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The fallout got personal. His father was dismissed from his university post, and Enes's passport was canceled in 2017, leaving him briefly stranded in Romania. That's statelessness. When a person has no country that recognizes them as a citizen, making travel basically impossible. The FBI even provided him a device for immediate contact due to credible threats, according to ESPN.
Here's where it gets really interesting. In October 2021, Enes publicly supported Free Tibet and criticized Xi Jinping. Soon after, Chinese platforms stopped streaming Boston Celtics games. That's a huge market response to a single player's speech. Around the same time, he led a rally in Washington, pushing the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which blocks imports linked to forced labor. He also called for a boycott of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, and later the U.S. announced a diplomatic boycott. Officials would not attend, though athletes could still compete.
Fast forward, in late 2021, he became a U.S. citizen and added freedom to his name. Then in 2022, he was traded to Houston and waived. He says he was pushed out because of his China criticisms. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, publicly denied any punitive action and emphasized his right to speak. Analysts pointed to basketball factors like defensive fit and roster math. So there's the tension. It's hard to prove a single cause in a league with 30 different front offices making independent decisions.
Before we debate that, one more note on scope. He has met with U.S. lawmakers across the aisle, for example, Nancy Pelosi and Mike Johnson. He attended the 2024 State of the Union as Johnson's guest, and he's talked about a plan to run for Congress when eligible by citizenship rules. He's also shown up in Middle East diplomacy spaces tied to the Abraham Accords, and recently he organized a public iftar during Ramadan for families in Gaza. A post-sunset meal presented as humanitarian aid.
All right, let's roll on to the big controversial question. Was he effectively pushed out of the NBA for his China stance, or were there normal basketball reasons? I'll start on the basketball side. Teams look at role, fit, cap numbers, and defensive schemes. Enes brings elite offensive boards and touch, but he can be targeted in space defensively. If a roster already has similar skill sets, or if they switch a lot on defense, that can make him less attractive. So it's plausible teams made choices based on-court fit and contracts, even with all the surrounding noise.
I hear you. Real talk, fit matters. But I can't ignore the geopolitics. After he criticized Xi Jinping, Celtics games vanished from Chinese platforms. That's not subtle. The NBA has significant business in China, so even if no memo ever existed, the chilling effect is real. People self-censor because they fear consequences. Teams might avoid potential backlash even if they never say so out loud. I'm not saying that's the only reason this happened, but the timing and scale of the response make me think it carried weight.
That's fair. And to be clear, Adam Silver publicly said he had the right to speak, and I take that at face value. Still, there's a difference between official statements and the quiet calculus of franchise risk. 30 teams, different owners, different markets. Even without a blacklist, each front office can decide a situation is too hot. So the business context complicates the basketball-only angle.
Quick question then. Why would a team pass on someone with a 30-rebound game on his resume if boards are always valuable?
Two quick reasons. First, scheme. If your defense switches or plays 5 out on offense, you might prioritize a big who defends the perimeter and stretches the floor with shooting. Second, playoff matchups. Some teams worry elite offenses will pull a non-switching big into space in the postseason. You end up weighing a real rebounding advantage against potential matchup issues, and that trade-off can tilt decisions at the margins.
And on the other side, the human rights stakes were not marginal. He helped push attention towards supply chain accountability on forced labor. That's not minor. The law he advocated for is designed to stop goods made with coerced labor from entering the U.S. market. So while teams did their math, the broader effect of his stance is concrete. It changed the public conversation and arguably policy.
Let's switch it up to pop culture cameos. He had that WWE moment in 2019. He won the WWE 24/7 championship at Madison Square Garden, then lost it back minutes later. For folks not deep in wrestling, that title can be defended anytime, anywhere, as long as a ref is present. He even flashed a Celtics jersey to rile up a New York crowd, and he's joked around online with MJF from AEW, so he understands entertainment dynamics and uses them to amplify messages.
And that Badiuchao collab on the shoes is pop culture with purpose. Badiuchao's art often subverts censorship, and the Winnie the Pooh imagery references a symbol that's been censored in China. Putting that on an NBA court is a high-visibility way to bypass traditional gatekeepers, like turning a few square inches of leather into a broadcast signal.
Counterfactual time. What if the NCAA had ruled him eligible at Kentucky in 2010 to 2011? I think a full season at a blue blood program on national TV could have accelerated his brand and probably boosted endorsements. He was still drafted third, but a March Madness run might have expanded his mainstream recognition earlier, giving him an even bigger megaphone for later activism.
I agree on visibility. Playing at Kentucky could have built a fan base that followed him from day one in the NBA. That, in turn, might have made his later statements travel faster. Also, a college year under Calipari, who's known for preparing NBA talent, might have refined his defensive habits earlier. If that happened, we could be looking at a player who kept more minutes in certain playoff schemes, which might have changed how teams assessed him later.
There's another angle. If his endorsement trajectory had been bigger out of college, he might have had more leverage to weather controversy later. With a wider sponsor portfolio and a bigger personal brand, the floor under your career can be sturdier. So even if pushback came, he could have had more cushion to stay rostered while speaking up.
And activism itself. A national title chase builds a story fans carry with them. If millions felt like they knew him from Kentucky, the empathy bridge is longer. When he says, "Here's what's happening in Xinjiang," or "Here's what statelessness feels like," more people might lean in. It's not that he lacked impact, it's that a different starting line might have amplified it even more. Let's wrap that up with a bow. The intersection of sports and activism can be messy, but it matters because it shifts the public square toward accountability and sometimes change.
Yeah, stay curious, keep it chill, and keep asking why. That's how we learn where the game ends and the bigger world begins.